this is going to be a different kind of session. The session is going to be about more of a hands-on session. We're going to talk about some advanced PowerPoint tips to enhance creativity and eventually on some of these things help you save time. My team's on today. That's me, Sherry Jevons. I'm in Laguna Beach, California, so it's my morning time. I've got Laura Espinoza on. She's our producer today. She can do a little wave out right now. Hey, Laura.
Hello.
And then I've got Rachel Matthew on today. She's also a producer for Power Presentations, but she is also our PowerPoint wizard and does amazing slides, putting these together and becoming creative. And what we thought we'd do on today's session is just share with you some of those concepts and ideas that we do. I'm going to actually go off webcam now. You don't need to see me all the time. Laura, you can go off too. Yeah, we're going to all go off. One of the most exciting things for us is we want to help you develop slides to stand out from the crowd. And I want to point out this slide right here. This was a really cool slide that Rachel came up with. It was actually a static picture. And I said to her, gee, I'd really love the people to just kind of like separate from the masses. We use this slide a lot in our presentation skills training courses to kind of indicate, look, our job as presentation coaches is to help you be separated in your image and your conduct and what you say from the crowd. So this is a slide we use a lot. Rachel, just briefly give a highlight on that slide. How long did it take you to actually develop that slide?
I think from coming up with the idea of how to make it work and then all the iterations and practices, I would say probably 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, so this is a special slide. We don't recommend that you spend that kind of time, but this is the kind of slide that we use over and over that allows you to really use all of the qualities that PowerPoint has. So today our current situation is we want to give you some opportunities. We all know that, we're not meeting face-to-face quite yet, and we're online. So the visuals have become a lot more important than they were in face-to-face. We're relying a lot more on PowerPoint to help tell our stories, to create the image we want, to help get business done. And a lot of us don't have a whole lot of time to develop these things. So the slides are looking pretty boring. And for many of you, you might not have a lot of time to update. So we want to give you just some quick tips and hints that we do, and then also show you some creative slides. So here's my agenda, and it's pretty full for 30 minutes. A tip that can quickly make your very busy visuals resonate virtually, something you can do that's pretty simple. Ideally, you would like to not have busy visuals, but you know what? It's not always possible. We want to have you understand how you put attendees in charge using the Zoom feature. Not Zoom, because we're on Zoom. It's the Zoom feature within PowerPoint. She's going to show you how to do morph transitions. We're going to do a quick comment about how do you get the right amount of content for the time feature. There's actually a feature in PowerPoint that some people know and some people don't know. And then the last one is swapping out photos to reuse slides without redoing animation. So Rachel's a wizard she'll spend a lot of time putting the animations and having them look cool, but then reusing those slides over and over for different kinds of decks. It's 30 minutes, so it's going to whip by pretty quick. If you have any questions at all, we do see this as more of a little bit of a working session. And those of you that come to our webinars, we usually dump out a bunch of quick information, boom, boom, boom. This one's going to be Rachel telling you how she does some of these things. So it'll be a little different. We don't have as much engagement on this because she's going to be deep into things. And then if you are having audio issues, that would probably be because you've got some internet issues, so go ahead and switch over to phone if you're on VoIP. So Rachel's pretty much going to take it away between the two of us. She's going to quickly make your busy visuals resonate virtually. So Rachel, it's your show for the moment.
All right. So as Sherry said, we know that you have busy visuals. And this tip is particularly useful for spreadsheets, pictures, diagrams, graphics, things that aren't easy to animate within PowerPoint. So this is an example of a spreadsheet. It's got a lot of information on it. And in order to direct your attendees' eyes, particularly during a virtual communication, you could add boxes or use your drawing tools, but their eyes can still wander. So this is just a little tip we'll show you. I'm going to exit my presentation mode here to really keep your attendees focused and with you. So this is my spreadsheet. All I'm going to do is insert a box, and I'm going to cover up the information that I want to hide. So in this case, I would go by row. I'll just resize this. And because my background is white, I'm just going to shape fill it so it sort of disappears into the background. The next thing I want to do is animate it. So we're going to have it leave. Let's have it fly out, and we'll make it go off to the right. And it's going on a click. So you can see over here in my animation pane that it's animated and leaving on a click. From here, I'm just going to, I click on it. I'm going to hold down Shift Control on my keyboard. That'll keep everything in a nice, neat row. Click and drag it down. It duplicates my box, duplicates my animation, and I can just keep doing that and go row by row to hide all of my information. And sometimes it takes a little finesse to get everything lined up just right. Then when you put that into presentation mode, you can see I can really focus on employee number 1. They had vacation days in January. Employee number 2, we had days overlapping. So that way it's really easy to keep your attendees focused on your content. Super quick.
And just that quick, you've made something more visually attractive. For those of you that have been doing those visual meetings, we all know that the standardization out there is every 30 to 90 seconds, ideally the perfect world is something new comes up on the screen, whether that's you on webcam, whether that's using a tool. But that little trick, we do that trick a ton. Particularly when clients send us super busy slides, we show them that one. That's a favorite.
It is. We've seen a lot of diagrams. You know, when you get it, it's all one picture. So if you wanted to animate it, you'd have to, crop it out and copy and paste, and it would take a really long time. So that's just a really nice way to chop things up quickly. Right. Number 2 is put your attendees in charge using the Zoom feature. And as Sherry said, this is not Zoom, the platform. This is the Zoom feature in PowerPoint. And for this tip, I put together a video, just so it'll be a little more succinct in the description. We are going to send you a link to this video as well as tutorials within Microsoft itself so that you can, kind of slow it down, practice it, and take it more step by step. I'm just going to make sure. I think I stopped sharing, Sherry, so I just want to make sure that I enable the computer sound here.
Right.
Sound. All right, here we go. First, I'll show you how the Zoom feature in PowerPoint works. Then I will show you how to build it out. So this is an example of a poll we might conduct during an online training. These are the 4 agenda topics we're going to talk about throughout the session, and we would ask the audience which section is most important to them. So let's assume that they take the poll and they decide that presenting a busy slide is most important. So right here from the slide, I can click on presenting a busy slide. It zooms in. We can then present the content associated with that agenda topic. And at the conclusion, it will bring me back to my poll slide. So let's say we wanted choice C next. I can click through that associated content. Come back to my poll, go through A. Again, present the content. And back here. At the conclusion, if I wanted to skip to the end, I have my shortcut here. It'll take me right to the end of my presentation, and we'll go through our next steps. So next I'll show you how to create this. So in order to create these sections, the first thing I want to do is decide where I want those splits in my presentation to be. So in this example, I'm doing it right between every agenda topic. So I'm going to right click, the add section. I'm going to do that before each agenda topic. So there's my 90-second kickoff, present a busy slide, add section. There's my 4 sections. In order to create the slide that I'm going to click on or create my poll from, this is just a blank slide. I put my A, B, C, and D in there. I'm going to go to Insert, Zoom, and Section Zoom. And from here, it's going to bring up each of those sections that I created. So I want to select each of these and insert them onto my slide. This is my shortcut to get to my conclusion. And from here, each of these are clickable to get to each section. Just to show you again, I can click right on it and it takes me to that content. First. All right, so that's the Zoom
Rachel,
feature.
yeah, and I mean, look how fast she did that. Obviously, she's very adept at that. But here's what's really cool about that. Of course, we, like many of you, do a lot of training sessions, and we're always looking for ways, how can we make it more empowering for the learners? And so it's fun to let the learners say, okay, well, which order do you want to see things? What's most important to you? And it's super cool when you can just go to that section for them. So it's just one other way to really engage people. Yeah, and Rachel's right. Let us know if you have any questions. She's going through these things fairly quickly, but remember, you are going to get a recording of this, and we would love to hear any questions that you might have on any of these kinds of things she's showing you. So.
All right, tip number 3 is the morph transition. I'm going to start out with an easy example, and that's just creating some movement with shapes just to make your slides a little more interesting. And we did this right in the introduction. We had our current situation. We went through these 4 things. And then when we clicked to the agenda, everything sort of shifted over. And that was done with morph. So I will show you how I did that. I took my current situation slide. I right click and I just select duplicate. Now the first sort of trick to this is that the morph transition will not work if the slide is animated. So on my duplicated slide, I'm going to remove all of this animation. Then I know I'm going to get rid of my icons and these lines, so I just go through and delete this. The next thing I want to do is just select all, so do Control A, and I'm just going to shift it all sideways. I want to bring my text back to the right direction. And from here, it's just a matter of, editing your text and resizing the boxes so that it follows this feature. And I'll just go ahead and shift these a little bit so you get the idea. Do a slightly different example here. So then if I have my transition onto morph, when I go from my current situation over to this, it just creates a little bit more visual interest.
Yeah, it gives it that 3D effect, and that's what I think is pretty cool about it.
Yes. So this next one, it's a little bit more of an advanced way to use it, and I thought I'd show you it in action first and then back out and show you how we did it. And so these are the 6 key physical skills that we often go over during our training. And rather than just having 6 bullet points on the slide listing the skills or 6 icons, we created this rotation to go through those and discuss them.
Notice how it's blowing up and changing colors and then going smaller and going back to the regular color. So there's the outlines that she had to do, the blowing it up and making it go back. Very cool.
So how these were created, I'll close my animation pane. There's no animation, it's all morph. So you can see I have my 6 shapes. And I have square up and stand tall. The text is queued up over here off of the slide. So even though you don't see it, it's sitting over there. Then on the next slide, what I did was I brought the square up and stand tall icon, which was here, up to the front and resized it and changed the background, moved eye contact over here, and then rotated each of those through. So you'll see everything is moved over in one. Brought the eye contact text over, brought the square up and stand tall text that was over here to the center, and then added my walk and plant, which will be for my next skill here. So that process is essentially just repeated, moving the text over, resizing, and reorganizing the icons. And again, it's just morph. As you click through them, it creates that rotation.
Hey, Rachel, I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
the words that are on the left-hand and the right-hand side, did you put those in beforehand? I mean, how'd you get those over there?
So you can just move, just say, for example, here. So
Yeah.
I'm going to move from eye contact to square up and stand tall. So I would duplicate this slide.
Okay.
And then move. I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard so it stays. You see those red lines
Okay,
there, so that it stays in place.
Yep.
Then do the same thing for square up and stand tall and drag that over.
Yeah, okay.
And then as you apply that transition, it moves the text off to the side.
I see. Okay. Mhm. It's so interesting. Guys, I don't spend the time that she does in actually how to design these. She just brings them to me and they look beautiful, and I'm like, oh, that's impressive. Thank you. So I learned how involved these things are. This particular slide and the stand out from the crowd slide, these slides took quite a bit of time for her to produce. But what I always say in these presentations is I'm always looking to have maybe every third or fourth slide, have something kind of wow, cool, unique in it. Not every single slide, because that becomes too distracting for the learners or for our audiences, but just enough to kind of make it visually, wow, that's cool, or that's interesting, that's unique, to bring their eyes and attention back to the screen.
In addition to morph, we have some additional transitions I wanted to point out. And obviously we don't want to use these on every single slide. Like Sherry said, it becomes distracting. And if there's, no real reason to use that transition, then I don't recommend you use it. But we've come up with a few examples over the past few months with these new transitions that I thought I'd show you. So that first one that I just did, it was actually called Zoom. So we've got the Zoom feature, the Zoom transition, and Zoom the platform, not to cause any confusion here, but so it's the Zoom transition. And I did want to point out that we have some effect options that you can choose from on some of these as well. So it can go in, it can go out, you can zoom and rotate. But one thing that I really like is changing the duration, because a lot of times when you add these transitions, they happen so quickly that it's super easy to miss. So as an example, I use the airplane transition on this one. I'm just going to slow it down a little bit. We'll make it take a little bit longer. So we'll go from our Zoom transition, and this next slide, we'll use it at the end of a presentation. Just adds a little bit more visual interest there. We have our curtains that we use.
And where is that at, Rachel? Where's the curtain at?
That is, I will show you right here.
Oh, yeah, it was right next to it. Okay.
Yep, it's right up in here.
Okay.
I
love this curtain. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it is. This next one we used, click through this. When the pandemic first hit and we were doing a presentation about how to conduct online meetings, we're saying face-to-face meetings are a thing of the past. So those are just a few of the transitions. Another time we've used them is when we change agenda topics. So each time we would hit a slide like this, we would have it rotate in a specific way.
I will say this, though. We don't try to use all of them in different places. So, for example, we'll pick a theme. So you saw how that broke up in the window. If we're doing that for more announcing each agenda topic, we'll do that consistently for every agenda topic. In other words, we won't have that and then the curtain and then this. It just gets to be a little too much. So we will stick with a theme throughout. And some of you probably that have been on our webinar sessions in the past have seen us do that as well. Okay, I want to, one of the other features that we had said we'd share with you was getting the right amount of content with the timing feature. The biggest challenge I see when I'm working with folks on how to conduct engaging, interactive online sessions is you're trying to jam too much content into that time frame. So one of the things we want to do is show you how you can test or determine how much time you're spending on slides. Some of you may know this. In fact, I'd love to see a hand raise right now. How many of you are aware of the slideshow rehearsed timings? You could raise your hand. Tell them how to raise their hand. Laura? Hey, Laura, you might be muted. Or Rachel can tell them, either one.
I'm sorry about that. If you just take your cursor to the bottom of the screen, hover it over and you'll see an icon that says reactions. You just click on it and raise hand is right there.
Okay, so most of you are, okay, we got a lot of people with the raised hands are familiar with it. Some, let's see. Yeah, we got lots. I'm just cursoring down on my chat. Okay, some yes, some no. Okay, folks. The timing is very critical. We all know that at the bottom of the hour, at the top of the hour, people leave. In slideshow, you can do rehearsed timings. Here's what it looks like. As you select that feature, it's slideshow, rehearsed timings, you click it. Then as you practice your presentation and you're going through it, it'll actually time how many seconds you took to present that particular slide. This is you doing a dry run. Then afterwards, it'll tell you, boy, you spent 41 seconds on your kickoff. You spent 46 seconds on learn to think like a decision maker. This is a great way for you to not necessarily get rid of content, but see, I ran a little long on that slide. I need to tighten up my content on that slide. And that's the way we use it. Because half the time I'm like, well, I need to cover these things, but I'm running long. Where can I cut? And it's not always obvious where you can cut. This is an excellent way to say, geez, tighten up the content on a slide here and there. Now, here's the trick, though. Once you've done that, you have to go back in there and unclick that use timings. That's right, because look at that right there. It says use timings. That means the slides will automatically advance the next time you use them on that timing. So you want to unclick that thing. Otherwise, you're going to be saying, why is my slide advancing now? What is going on? So you don't want that to happen.
All right, our last tip, swap out photos to reuse slides without wrecking your animation. This is just an agenda topic slide. I've used it over and over again. And oftentimes I want to change out the icon, change the text. And it used to be that in order to change that picture, when you've got things grouped together, you'd have to delete it, add a new one, and then essentially reset all of your animation. And now in PowerPoint, I don't have to do that anymore. So let's say I wanted to change my first agenda topic to, say, webcam best practices. I can now click on my picture. And here it says graphics format because I used icons that were built in. If it's a picture that you've pulled in from someplace else, it'll say picture format. Click on there and go over here to change graphic or change picture, depending on your settings. And it gives us all these options now. So from a file, you can go get something you have saved on your own computer. Stock images and online sources. This PowerPoint takes you directly to the internet. It gives you all these different resources. So you've got cutout people, stickers, illustrations. There's all these different things you can choose from. And the other one I really like is from clipboard. So if I'm pulling maybe from a different presentation, and I'll just do this as an example here. I'm going to copy this and say I wanted to replace this picture. I can go to change graphic from clipboard and it pulls it directly in. But one of my favorites,
nice.
It really is nice. It saves so much time. So now it's a picture, because that one was a picture. So now I was going to say picture format, and I can change my picture. And I like these icons that PowerPoint has available. So I'm going to look for a webcam. There it is. Paste it in there. And then the formatting becomes really simple. You can just change the color of it right in there. with the icons that are built in. And that's all there is to it. Then it keeps everything grouped. The animation still works, and I'm not starting from scratch.
Yeah, if you come to some of our training sessions, you'll see this slide. And of course, she's got a dark background. She'll put a different background on it. She'll put different colors in there. But that animation with those icons is something we use quite a bit. Hey, guys, it's 9:26. Yeah, you know, Rachel's kind of a whiz. She did those things. Rachel, I actually don't think you did it fast. You were explaining it, but it's just amazing when you have the breadth of knowledge that she has that can help you understand how to do some cool things. So we would love to know what was valuable that you learned today. If you could put that in the chat, and I think most people know how to use the chat, but in case you're not as familiar with Zoom, Laura, you can go ahead and explain it.
Sure, the chat icon will be on that same bottom taskbar. You just take your cursor to the bottom of the screen. You'll see the chat icon, and the chat box should pop up to your right.
Yeah, you know, we never know how advanced you're going to be. My goal for a 30-minute session like this, folks, is just if you got one good thing that you didn't know about before, it was worth your time. I mean, ideally, we give you more than one thing, but just getting some information, so many things, the Zoom feature, the different sections. I'm telling you, the Zoom feature, when I discovered that, I was super psyched because we keep talking about how do we engage these learners so that they are more committed, so that they have more of a say of how they're going to learn, and that one's a big one. I love that one. So today we had a pretty busy agenda. We talked about how to quickly make your busy slides resonate virtually with the white boxes, put your attendees in charge with the Zoom feature, allowing them to pick the topics they want to see first, second, and third. The morph transition, just a cool way to have things transition from one thing to the next. The right amount of content with the timing feature, and then of course swapping out the photos to reuse slides without that and maintain that animation. So all really fun things. And one of my favorite slides, as I said, took a long time to do, but we really want to have slides that help you stand out from the crowd. So here's our next step. Obviously, this is a free session. We are going to give you the link to this if you wanted to pass along to other people, if you want to watch it again, because you have to see it a couple times in order to understand how to do it yourself. But next steps, there's a link in chat. It's going to be in chat.
Let me go grab that.
Yep,
so,
okay.
Sorry, I thought I could copy it.
Chat.
Here it comes.
No worries. Free PowerPoint template and free resources, including photos, templates, and training videos. If you want to contact us for coaching to organize content and to deliver your beautiful slides, let us know, of course. So you'll get the recording, you'll get the link, and as always, we just appreciate being able to educate our clients and prospective clients. So we appreciate your time, and have a nice day.
Judy asked in chat when you will receive the recording. It should be available today. And in that link that I just posted, it will populate in there. We'll also send an email.
Thank you.
All right, team, nice job. And Rachel, the timing on that was perfect. So